For decades, the world priced Africa as a mine. Dig it up, ship it out. But in 2024, $97 billion in foreign investment flowed into the continent, and most of it was not chasing raw materials. It was chasing production. $1 billion boom is unfolding across industries already shaping the continent's future tycoons. The real question is where the smartest capital is moving and why. In 2024, foreign direct investment into Africa reached $97 billion. Even after subtracting the scale of the Egypt mega projects, net inflows stood at $62 billion. This represents a fundamental shift in how international finance evaluates the continent. The capital is bypassing traditional extraction sites, flowing instead toward businesses that process, manufacture, and add value locally. For decades, global markets treated the region primarily as a source of raw materials. Today, institutional investors are backing the physical infrastructure of local production. This change is driven by a new economic reality. Importing finished goods is no longer viable for expanding domestic markets. Consequently, large-scale investments are financing factories, logistics systems, and regional supply chains. This structural realignment forces founders and policymakers to rethink their strategies. Rather than exporting raw resources, companies are capturing the entire value chain on African soil. For the smartest capital, the long-term play is clear. The future belongs to the producers. The viability of continental-scale production relies on three reinforcing engines: market integration, urban consumer density, and infrastructure-led cost compression. The African Continental Free Trade Area is consolidating fragmented national markets into a single commercial arena. According to AfCFTA trade studies, 31 of the 54 signatory nations now operate with fully functional tariff schedules, removing duties on over 80% of product categories. This regulatory alignment allows factories to scale production for regional export rather than serving only isolated domestic markets. Under this framework, cross-border trade in manufactured goods is expanding 23% year over year. At the same time, rapid urbanization is creating concentrated hubs of high-volume demand. Joint research briefs from the World Bank and the IFC estimate that the continental urban consumer market will exceed $450 billion by 2030, with the emerging middle-class segment accounting for roughly $180 billion of that spending. These dense urban nodes provide manufacturers with consistent, repeat purchase markets for consumer goods. The final piece is targeted infrastructure investment. As detailed in regional transport briefs and industrial park feasibility studies, dedicated transport corridors and localized power networks compress the time and expense of moving raw inputs in and finished goods out. Together, these three forces do not operate in isolation. They feed into one another, lowering risk and establishing a highly scalable operating environment for long-term industrial capital. In 2022, partners backed the Kumasi starch plant with $45 million to turn harvested cassava roots into industrial starch. When commercial operations began in January 2024, the facility changed how the region handles raw agriculture. Raw cassava rots quickly, but processed starch travels long distances and holds its value. By July 2024, the plant secured its first export, shipping 10,000 metric tons of modified starch to Nestlé's subsidiary in Ivory Coast under the new tariff-free rules. For food processors, the regional market is essential. A single country's domestic market is often too small to support large-scale factories. but cross-border demand provides the volume needed to scale. This shift from farming to industrial processing connects agriculture directly to manufacturing, turning food into a high-margin, repeatable business model. But building these regional supply chains requires clear policy. In early 2026, Ghana's tomato paste value chain faced a severe test. The Ministry of Food Security attempted to block raw tomato imports from Burkina Faso to protect local farmers, threatening a regional processing model led by Tomato Pure Limited. After a public hearing in May 2026, Parliament voted to maintain duty-free trade. This decision preserved the regional trade corridor, demonstrating how trade rules can either paralyze or protect value-added industries. By processing crops near their source and selling them to neighboring nations, food manufacturing is establishing the first clear path to scalable continental wealth. Industrial parks reduce the entry barriers of manufacturing by clustering utilities, shared logistics, and factory space. In Ethiopia, the Hawassa Industrial Park hosts 22 textile and garment factories, 19 of which are operational. In the first half of the 2024 fiscal year, the park generated $20 million in export earnings, proving how manufacturing scales when infrastructure bottlenecks are removed. This industrial model is expanding into higher complexity sectors like pharmaceuticals. On June 6, 2023, Swiss Pharma Nigeria Limited, or SWIPCHE, received West Africa's first World Health Organization pre-qualification for its zinc sulfate dispersible tablet. The company utilized a $5 million blended finance package from the International Finance Corporation and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to upgrade its plant. For regional expansion, Emzo Pharmaceuticals registered its malaria treatments through the East African Medicines Registration Harmonization Framework. This process reduced its licensing timeline to 9 months, cutting regulatory costs by over $1 million and accelerating entry into 4 national markets simultaneously. Energy demands are also driving regional industrial systems. Sun Power. Kenya operates a 15-megawatt solar panel assembly line in Athi River, importing silicon cells and assembling panels locally. Supported by a $25 million blended finance package from the Cross-Boundary Energy Fund and the African Development Bank, the firm negotiated local content tariff waivers to reduce unit expenses. By mid-2026, this system unlocked 500 megawatts of contracted solar capacity across East Africa. The manufacturers achieving the highest returns are those structured from day one to cross borders. The infrastructure of transit determines the speed of profit. At Ghana's Tema Port, a newly commissioned expansion added a 1.4-kilometer quay with 4 deep berths. This physical upgrade immediately cut container dwell times from 4.5 days to just 2.1 days. When time shrinks, fresh markets open. On April 1, 2026, RWI Logistics ran 12 metric tons of tomatoes from Accra to Ouagadougou. The refrigerated truck run proved that temperature-controlled supply lines could operate across national borders, reducing historic product spoilage from 12% to 8%. But physical cargo only moves as fast as the capital financing it. Underneath these supply chains run digital payment rails. When the Nigerian Central Bank suspended Asia Finance's license in early 2024, it threatened $30 million in regional transactions. Founder Elizabeth Rosiello resolved the compliance overhaul in 6 weeks, returning the platform to growth across 5 markets. Together, these modern ports, cold corridors, and payment systems turn regional trade from a logistical gamble into a highly predictable manufacturing machine. Downstream mineral processing represents the frontier of this local production model. In Tanzania's Arusha district, Lithium Works is building a spodumene to lithium hydroxide plant, shifting the focus from exporting raw ore to manufacturing battery-grade materials. This project requires rigorous financing structures. Of the $250 million capital expenditure, the International Finance Corporation provided $150 million in debt, alongside $100 million in equity. To secure its social license, the developer established a $5 million community trust fund and guaranteed formal jobs to resolve land disputes with local artisanal miners. The plant targets 20,000 metric tons of lithium hydroxide annually. This approach fits Helios Investment Partners' production sector thesis, which prioritizes heavy export orientation, massive addressable markets, and duty-free routes. For investors, the lesson is clear. The most durable industrial fortunes will belong to those who solve these complex financing, policy, and community challenges. The true shift is no longer about extracting wealth, but building it. As regional integration redefines the continent, real power belongs to those who produce. The next generation of global giants won't just export resources, they will build the future. Share your thoughts in the comments.